What's going on, guys? It's Asal, and today we're going to talk about how you can improve your kill-death ratio in Battlefield Hardline. Now, when I first started playing Battlefield Hardline, my kill-death ratio was not that good. It was about a 1.0, which in my experience and in previous games, I knew I could do better than that, and I have worked it up. It's about a 1.3 now, which is not amazing, but it's definitely better, and that's what I want to focus on with this video, is that aspect of improvement. The tips I'm going to share with you today have helped me improve my kill-death ratio, and I'm still applying these, and I'm still working on improving my kill-death ratio myself. It's a never-ending journey in that sense. Don't think about, I want a 3.0 kill-death ratio. Don't do that. You're just going to set yourself up for failure. Think about where you are. Think about the improvements you want to make and work there incrementally. So the first tip I'm going to share with you today is knowing your maps. This is really important because it allows you to know where your enemy will be, where you can go to escape your enemy, and where you can find cover. All of these things are really crucial to having a good kill-death ratio. Now, how do you go about learning the maps? Well, it really comes down to mostly experience. You know, you'll play the game lots and you'll learn the maps. But an extra thing you can do if you really want to get into knowing the maps as fast as you possibly can, you can think about when you spawn in on the cop side, you can think about where you are, where your team is going, and where you're all heading, and then you can apply that to the other team when you spawn in as the criminals. You can think, well, my team went this way, so, you know, for the most part, that's where the other team is going to be going, and you kind of adapt to that and be ready to intercept the enemy team as the round goes on. And you can just kind of keep this general mindset in your head as the round progresses about where you are usually on one side, and then you can apply that to the other side to kind of get a better idea of the flow of the game. Now, you can apply this to your enemy in really any context. If you're ever in a situation where you don't know where your enemy is going to be or what he is going to do, you can put yourself in his shoes. What would I do if they were them? Now, this kind of introduces this whole idea of mind games, but that really is what playing first-person shooters is all about. It's about outsmarting your opponent. Now, the next tip is to be aware of your angles of exposure. Now, what we mean by this is what angles can you be shot at from your enemy? Are you exposing your right flank, your left flank? You want to be aware of these kind of things. Wherever you are at any time, you want to be aware, okay, I can be shot from the right and from behind. And then you want to take into account your map awareness. You want to think, do I know the enemy team is over there? Is it behind me? And if you know the enemy team is to your right, you're gonna not want to expose your right flank. Now, this sounds kind of like common sense, but a lot of the time, it is pretty easy to forget about where enemies are in the heat of the moment. You could just run straight across the courtyard and not realize that you're exposing yourself from pretty much any angle, and then you get shot at from everywhere and you die right away. You want to be really smart about this. You want to always use cover to your advantage, and you never want to expose yourself completely. If you think about in a game where you have been killed a lot by a very talented player, usually you can't kill them back because they are being very smart. They are playing to the cover to their advantages, and they're not running around in the open. Often good players, very few times will they run around out in the open. Now, this is not to say that you can't take risks, but we're trying to minimize those risks. When you expose yourself completely, you want to make sure that there are no enemies around you. And if you do expose yourself, sure, sometimes that might be a risk, you might be taking a chance, but you want to try to think about where the enemy team is at all times and whether or not it's a smart time to expose yourself to fire. Now, next, you want to live and breathe the minimap. Become one with the minimap. This is so important because players on the minimap appear when they shoot or they are spotted, which is fairly often. And you can use this both in the individual sense and as more of a team sense. You can say, okay, there's an individual enemy here. I'm going to set myself up so I can take them out, while keeping in mind that you're not exposing yourself too much at the same time. Also, you can use this more as a broader sense. You can say, okay, I see a lot of enemies over here. This means that a lot of their team is here, so most of them are likely to be over there, so I cannot worry so much about exposing myself from the opposite direction, because you can kind of induce that a lot of the team will be in the same spot. So this is a really great one, a great use for the minimap. Now, it's also important to remember, just because the enemy team shows up on the minimap when they fire, means that you will also show up on the minimap when you fire your weapon. Now, this isn't to say you should not fire your weapon, it just means either use a suppressor or be aware when you fire your weapon, everyone on the enemy team will know exactly where you are. So don't stay in that spot. If you're in a protected spot, sure, you can stay there, that's absolutely fine. But if you know you're somewhere where you could be vulnerable to an enemy, if they're aware of your location, once you fire your weapon, move on, move somewhere else. Try to stay unpredictable in that sense. Now, lastly, I'm just going to tell you to be patient. Slow down your game. Having a good kill-death ratio is not about running and gunning and just going absolutely insane wherever you want to. You need to be patient. You need to slow down your game. Don't worry too much about letting an enemy run away. Sometimes, I know it's hard to do. I know it's hard to let an enemy run away like X Quickscopes X, who just knifed you last round. It's okay to let him get away sometimes, because there is no point in getting a kill if it gets you killed in return. You want to stay alive. Having a good kill death ratio at its core is about being a smart player, being patient, and valuing your life over getting kills, because every time you get a death, that's really not very helpful, especially if you're playing something like team deathmatch or a game mode like heist where your ticket count really does matter, because every time you die, that is a strike against your team. You don't want that to happen. If you get a kill in the process, that's not really helpful at all. You've both got one kill, then the score of each team goes up by 1, your kill death ratio, your streak ends. It's not helpful. Staying alive is your absolute priority when you are playing to have a good kill death ratio. Guys, this has been Asal. I really hope you have found this video helpful. If you have, be sure to hit that like button. I always appreciate that so very much. And as always, guys, this has been Asal, and I will see you guys next time.